Yeah, people, thanks for being here again, man. Welcome back to the platform. Welcome back to the show. I'm right after the back of that game, reaction of what happened last night in QSL. But it's the Reggae Boys, man. The Reggae Boys, man. It's like you can't just have a smooth ride going into next year World Cup. Why we have to eke up at this stage. The Reggae Boys stink up the place last night. Yeah, the Reggae Boys, we stink up the place last night. I wouldn't be surprised if the man them throw you out of them country, because we are lit at the man them field, we are lit at the man them country with our garbage all over the place. Garbage performance. What was the thinking behind of some of the things that Steve Macaron did, in that game last night? I would love to know some of the logical thinking behind of what inside of that dugout, with the coaching staff of. There's so many questions need to be answered, towards the manager. Look, what was the thinking, behind the substitutions? What was the gameplay? What was the plan in the first 15, 30 minutes of the game? I'm not sure. What was it? I'm not sure. Like, I didn't see any planning. Look, a team manager, a coach, a gaffer, however you want to put it, is to help to motivate, is to set a plan, is to have the players play under set regime, played with details, in their areas. And I'm not seeing anything like that. Is that the players are not listening to the manager? Is it that the manager are not giving the proper instruction towards the players of, look, this is what I need from you? What was the logical thinking, man? Like, this is a World Cup qualifier game, and I'm keep saying it, like, every time the Reggae Boys team come up against an opponent that decide that they're going to pass the ball, they're going to run, they look a little bit more organized, and they're going to be disciplined, they're going to go ahead and win the game. It's just simple as that. The Reggae Boys team is just too easy to beat. It's just too easy to beat. The thinking behind the opponent managers have, it's just simple. 1, 2, 3, ABC. It's basic tactics is beating us at this moment. One, we going away to a tough team. To the pitch, home field advantage going to play massive on the Curacao team and against the Reggae Boys team. Not many of us, the players playing on that pitch day in and day out when it comes down to international duties. They used to that they use that AstroTurf. They used to that. The Reggae Boys, the players, they don't usually play on pitches like those when it comes down to international football. So the home field advantage was massive. It was a sold out crowd. It was a jam pack arena. It was a lot of entertainment package going to that game before the start of the game. So it was a little vibe in the stadium. So the players were feeling that energy in the build up, during the warm up phases. So we didn't have any plan to come out and limit the Curacao team limit them from them strength, let them play more to their weakness. Nothing. And I'm going to the starting 11. I said this on multiple platforms. Yeah, I said it, like, we brought in Ian Fray to play the midfield role, to fill that void for Isaac in. And I'm a little bit uncertain if he can fill that void. I'm a little bit uncertain because I know what he can do playing as a right back, but playing as a right back, it's a totally different position than playing in a 6. The 6 is one of the most important, if not the most important, role in a football team. If you can get a proper dictator, a proper man in that 6 position to dictate the tempo and set the pace of the game, look, if we can get that proper 6, once you have a proper 6 in that midfield, your team will look more function, more organized, more structured as a midfield. You understand? It's midfield 2, midfield 3, and we had problem in that midfield against a double pivot from the Trinidad team, Rampersad and Frederick, when we had Isaac Hayden, Casey and John Russell. Now we're playing without Isaac, we're playing without Casey, even though Casey at this point, is not really good enough in certain games. But I'm just getting to the point of it always going to be a tricky one to play Ian Fray from the get-go in that role. We have never seen him play at this level. Look, one, there's not much room and space in around that midfield. Yeah, so it's going to take a clever midfielder to get in around and to demonstrate and how he's going to dictate the game and take and in the first 30 minutes, Ian Fray, there's a lot of misplaced pass, a lot of misplaced dribbling, he was just all over the place. And I'm not going to blame Ian Fray. And I'm not going to put the owners and just Ian Fray off. The coach brought him in the squad to play in this role. And if the coach call upon him to play for his country, he's not going to turn it down. He's going to go ahead and do his best. But that's not his best position. I've said it. It's going to be a tricky one to play Ian Fray. Because if it doesn't go well, then it can go sour for the Reggae Boyz. We did not even have a bit of control in that that midfield area. At times when you see simple passes, when you see just one touch, two touch, it just wasn't there. The players weren't thinking on that scale. The few times I see Ian Fray get into good position is when he's running the channels from the midfield areas and mostly on that right hand side. So that shows you that he's more of a right back. He's comfortable in that role. And I'm going to get into it. Like the goal, many people blaming who I say Andre Blake. Yeah, Andre Blake, that first goal maybe could have done something better. That ball didn't came through a lot of bodies. But I would love to hear, what was Andre Blake really thinking of, not even put a dive, in that for that goal. You understand? And the second one, I think Richard King could have easily kind of, blocked the channel of where that ball could have, walked to pass, Andre Blake. You understand? And I mean, Lembe Kisa could have done a little bit better, maybe a little bit of a more communication between Lembe Kisa and also Richard King, but maybe one of them should have at least been a little bit more aggressive. Even I think the first one, the shot, it was just too comfortable for opponent player to get a shot off just around the 25 yards out. It's just too much space. Where were the midfield three? Bobby, where are they? Ian Fray, John Russell, no control in that midfield. Yeah, I mean, look, Bobby Reid have an awful game, but it may be down, probably, not just down to, but probably could say that player wasn't behind him to give him that controlling and compliment, what Bobby Reid can do as well. Because at times I see Bobby Reid trying to drop too deep as a midfielder. But I want to get into, to more stuff of what went on in the game as well. The substitutions in the game from Steve McLaren, would have went on to take off the midfield three, like John Russell, Ian Fray, Bobby Reid, took off Tyrese Campbell as well, Kadama Thierry. But Cephas was having a shocking game. Like, what was that? Yeah, Cephas is a player that when it going right, it's going to go right. It's going to happen. Shit's going to go down, yeah? But it was an awful game. It was just an awful game. And again, close pitch, not getting enough room behind. What were the plans for Steve McLaren and Cephas? How are we going to get him isolate 1v1? Not one plan, because many times on that left hand side, even in that first half, the ball is on the left hand side and Cephas is trying to invert too quickly. Who's to blame? Is it the player got a certain instruction from the manager that when the ball is coming on that left hand side, you need to break inside? I'm not sure, but questions there need to be asked again. Like, Cephas didn't even give us the width. Many times, he created that one little moment early in the second half for Shaman Nichols, but could have done better right there. But Cephas played the entire 90 minutes and not even give us really that threat. At least, okay, it's not working for Cephas. Pull him from the game. Because there wasn't even a set plan to get Cephas isolated. What is Cephas' strength? Is to go 1v1 versus defenders and start to give them the afterburner. Yeah, the turbo speed, but there wasn't any plan of trying to overlap, try to play a triangle and Cephas wing, try to get players, to get out of their position so Cephas can have that 1v1. No set plan. It was just going long, direct. And I'm frustrated. And I'm going to say this again. You come up into a World Cup qualifier, you cannot get outrun by your opponent. Yeah, you have to come and limit the team. Especially a team that's going to be strong from the start of the game. They're going to come strong. Yeah, they want the win. This is a national day for the Curacao. They want to win, as they call in the La Familia Azul, the family of blue. You understand? So they want the win. They came out stronger than us, and we lost the duels. We lost the second balls. There wasn't no real fight in that first half. There wasn't no real plan, from the boys. Many, I've seen, Ethan Pinnock and the Richard King. It was just too easy around there for the Curacao players. And the substitutions make it a little bit more uncomfortable for the Curacao team. You Whisper, the Boyz came on, the Dixie came on. You could see a little bit of difference. But I'm going to say this as well, like, Ian Fray started in that 6. Bobby Reed was alongside him and John Russell. Look what happened when Kerry Henderson came on that pitch and Joshua Anglin. Look what happened. Look at the positions of the players. That shows me that those two players are midfield players. That's their trademark position. That's not Ian Fray's position. Ian Fray is just playing there to fill a void, and the coach trusts him. And I'm not going to blame Ian Fray. I'm not. He's a good player. He's a good right back. But it was always risky to go ahead and play someone who that's not their role. You came to the door and said square pegs in square holes. Ian Fray is not a CDM. He might can do a job there, but it would have been from the get-go, it's always going to be a tough game for him, and you could see that they target him a little bit they don't let him settle on the ball because he's a debutant. This is an away game, massive game. But look what happened when Joshua Anglin came on, especially a Kerry Anderson. They show like a quarterback style, especially a Kerry Anderson. He show more of a quarterback style. He shows that, look, this is what a midfielder should do. It's not the prettiest, but at least he came on that pitch, Kerry Anderson, and show a little bit of a basic, the fundamental things as a 6, as a midfielder. Ian Fray doesn't show that not one bit in the game, so that shows me that that's not his role. I'm a midfielder. I can look at him nervous, afraid for collect the ball. He's not doing the quarterback style like he's directing the traffic like a police in Jamaica on a regular 5 p.m. on Half a Tree Road. He's not directing no traffic. Look at when Kerry Anderson come on, him a move, him a dictate, him a do a quarterback style, I try and make the player them get in a space. What if we start the game like that from the get-go? Coach, you have to trust these players. Look at when the younger players came on. It was a total different game. Look at when Whisper came on. You could see Whisper, the intention of trying to glide past players. The intention of trying to go 1v1. The intention of trying to link up play. It shows these younger players, they want it. Why is it even a Roman Burrell didn't even get a chance? Someone with pace, someone with energy. We need players that's running. And Bailey Kadamati, that was a poor first half. Like, you can't even blame too much on Bailey Kadamati. Why? He was just one man standing up there pressing by himself. There wasn't no real plan. Steve McLaren, what is the plan around this national team? Like, the players don't look pumped up. The players don't look motivated. There's no detailing stuff around this team and how this team going to cooperate and limit the home team and their home ground. It's all about long ball, be direct. 3 at the back. Gail Kadamati is up against 3v1. What is owners on that? So I mean, people, it's sad, man. This is really sad. And John Russell got the opportunity in that game in that first half where he was trying to, I don't know if he didn't catch the ball properly. Richard King, that goal that he scored, man, that was just an awful game. Like, no, our back is against the wall. The to qualify for the World Cup qualifier, it's still in our own hands, because if we go ahead and win all our games, we will be qualified. But we should take care of business versus Bermuda coming in days, but it's going to be a tough November. November going to be tough. We're going to have Curacao at home. We have to win. That's a must-win game. Everything now is a must-win game from here. Everything now, the last 3 games that we have is a must-win games. So, Boza got a big opportunity. He would have get that opportunity, minutes before Richard King scored that offside goal, which they said Kerry Anderson interfere with the defender. I can't understand some of these VAR calls as well, but Boza is showing you that he's just not prolific in front of goal at this moment. As a striker, as a man that scored, double-digit goal for the national team, the best goal scorer in the statistics chart right now for the Reggae Boy team. That's just a little dink. That's just a little dink over the keeper. That shows me that you need to just be clever and just dink that ball over the keeper. The keeper already going to go flat. But Richard King scored, and they took that one. Thought it would be like after that goal, and it would have give them a last real push in the last 5 minutes. But I mean, I'm upset, man. Like, the performances just cannot be like this. When we come up against teams that are proper, structured, and organized, we tend to fail. We tend to play atrocious football. When we come up against teams that, 1, they organize, 2, they're willing to press, they're willing to run, and show a little bit of details in work around their game, of showing that organization is key, and there's no organization in our national team. He must get all these shits correctly on the training pitch, so then when you come on to match day, we'll have less problem. But again, man, Steve McLaren, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced by Steve McLaren. Like, he needs to improve on his work. Yeah, he needs to improve on his work. Yeah, he needs to improve on his work. Like, can't be putting in these shocking performances day in and day out against teams that tend to be a little bit more structured and organized, better than the Reggae Boyz team. But that's where I leave it, people. Thanks for watching. This is Nicardo Media House in a chat. Salute.